I liked a lot of things about my father, and I found things, I would say, confusing. I just didn't understand him as much, I think, as I would like to have. He wasn't easy to, in other words, he spent so much time in a kind of a inside that, and he really didn't know how to relate to kids when we were young. It was only when we became teenagers that he began, like our trip up the Palisades, and him explaining how all the strata of the cliffs and the canoe trip on the river, and explaining all of the green stuff and what their qualities were. And he used to come to the house and he would have test tubes in his socks with flies, something that he was following. He somehow could never detach himself. A good share of his life was inside. He spent a great deal of time ruminating or thinking, or when he was working, when he was fixing something, he was concentrating. He concentrated very, very strongly. That I found those qualities admirable, but I didn't want them. I think I felt that he was kind of a slave to his intelligence, that he was driven by all the things that were going on in his head that he felt he had to do something about. And that he was actually had a real hard time relaxing, because he always had this list of things that he felt he needed to do. And I never wanted to be like him at all. Dr. Morgan and another friend who was another scientist said that he confused sex with love, and that he desperately needed love, and that's why he wandered as much as he did, because he was always seeking love and assessment, in other words, of his value, because I don't think he ever got it from his grandmother. If I say he was wanting to amuse us, he would just roll the eyebrow around a pencil. They were that long. But then he also would trim them too. But he had a shock of eyebrows and a shock of hair, and a lot of it. I sure didn't inherit my mother's beautiful eyes, and I didn't inherit my father's eyes either. I am a crossbreed. Hazel eyes are a cross between blue. My father's eyes were very blue, and my mother's eyes were very brown. So what I have is hazel.
If somebody comes up to you, Betsy, and asks you, who was your father? What is your immediate?
I would say he was a pioneer scientist. Is that what he is or was? I really got into the part that he was a geneticist, simply because I'd got this, what's that? So I just got in the habit of saying that he was a pioneer scientist, and I let it go at that. I have to accept the fact that in his science, he is venerated. Obviously, he was an innovator, and he must have been highly, highly respected. And that is, of course, very nice for me to know that my father was a highly respected man of science, because he came from a very simple beginning, and he was what you would call a bootstrap. He was self-taught in so many areas. He was so interested. He could, almost anything he looked at, he could see if it needed improving, or he just had that active mind that was working all the time.